The Fossil Fuel Divestment Act is I would say, legislation that is probably of generational consequence and importance to our state and, frankly, our region. And let me tell you why. I have been known to say that the climate crisis is a systemic crisis that is going to require systemic responses. And so when the previous speakers talked about the fiduciary responsibility of Illinois, Illinois has pension funds that have the ability, in terms of the magnitude of those dollars, to stimulate or affect the local economy. And so when you talk about the power of that money and how it's invested, it is absolutely one of the first things that climate champions and, frankly, all humans in the state ought to be thinking about in terms of how we reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, because we know that this is work that we have to do in this generation. We don't have another 50 years on global warming. We don't have another generation on the depletion of our ozone layers. We don't have another generation in terms of the displacement and widespread chaos that we're seeing as our planet is damaged by fossil fuels. So it is really important to hold ourselves accountable to our planet by looking through all of our pension investments and combing through those and making sure that they're not being invested in fossil fuel companies. This is also not good economic policy for the state of Illinois. I mean, if the returns on our pension investments are not up to par in terms of the fossil fuel sector, then it's a no-brainer that we ought to be having a debate around divesting those funds and realigning our pension strategies. And so that obviously is a compelling point. This is, again, just very important work that we have to do for our planet, for our climate. I was proud to be an early co-sponsor of this legislation about a year ago when it was first introduced in the previous General Assembly. What I want to conclude with is by asking all of, not just my constituents back home in the 7th District, but all of our climate champions, all of the allies of the Green Movement, to just raise your voices. Raise your voices. We need you to be writing into our colleagues in the General Assembly to make sure that this is something that we're focused on this session. We need our colleagues to know that this is an urgent issue, that this is not just a wonky piece of legislation, but as I said earlier, this is of generational consequence. It's literally on par with the weight of the CEJA legislation that we passed a couple of years ago, and all the other important climate initiatives that the General Assembly has led in recent years.
Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to keep up to date with news from the caucus. For more information on what the senator is working on, please follow them on social media using the links in the description below.